The central command center of Orbital Station 7 hummed with activity. Screens displayed star charts and vessel movements while officers monitored sensor readings. Senior Commander Ta stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gray scales shimmering under the bright lights as he surveyed his crew. "Status report," Ta ordered, his voice carrying across the room. "All systems normal, sir," replied Officer Yoon from her console. "Border patrols report nothing unusual in sectors 4 through 7. Ta nodded. The Makari Confederation had maintained control of this region for over 3,000 years. Their technological superiority and disciplined military had ensured peace, mostly by making sure other species understood the consequences of disrupting it. "Sir," Officer Sun suddenly called out, her fingers flying across her sensor array. "I'm detecting an unknown vessel approaching from Sector 9. Ta moved to her station. "Show me." The main view screen shifted to display a sleek vessel with unfamiliar design. Its hull was dark, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with subtle blue energy signatures along what appeared to be engine ports. "Speed?" Ta asked. Sun checked her readings twice before answering. It's moving at nearly twice our fastest cruiser capacity, sir. Nothing in our database matches this configuration or capability." The command center fell silent. Even the most advanced species known to the Makari couldn't achieve such speeds without massive energy signatures that would be visible from several systems away. Yet this vessel seemed to generate minimal output for its velocity. "Threat assessment?" Tai asked, keeping his voice steady despite his growing concern. Officer Min at Tactical examined his readings. "Uncertain, Commander. Our scans can't penetrate their hull completely. I detect what might be weapon ports, but they're unlike any design we've encountered." Tag considered his options. The Makari protocols were clear. Unknown vessels approaching Confederation space were to be treated as potential threats until proven otherwise. Send standard warning signals, raise shields and power weapons to standby. Alert the patrol cruisers to change course and converge on our position. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, carrying out his orders. On the view screen, the mysterious ship continued its approach but began slowing. "They're reducing speed, Commander," Sun reported, "coming to a relative stop just outside our weapons range." Ta narrowed his eyes. The positioning was deliberate, close enough for communication, far enough to react if threatened. It suggested military thinking. "They're sending a transmission," the communications officer announced. "Audio only." "Put it through," Tai ordered. The command center speakers crackled briefly before a calm, authoritative voice spoke in perfect Makari language. "This is Captain Park of the United Earth Ship Defiant. We come in peace, for now." The command center erupted in surprised murmurs. Humans. The reports about this species had circulated through intelligence channels for years, but few had taken them seriously. An upstart race barely a few centuries into space travel, from a planet that had been fractured into competing nations for most of its history. Yet they had somehow unified their world, developed faster than light travel, and now arrived at the borders of the Makari Confederation with technology that rivaled their own. Tom moved to the communications station. "Open a channel." While waiting for the connection, he discreetly activated the emergency beacon beneath his console, a direct line to Makari High Command. "This is Senior Commander Tai of Orbital Station 7. Your presence near Confederation space was unexpected, Captain Park." "The unexpected often presents the greatest opportunities, Commander," Park replied, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. "We request permission to send a diplomatic shuttle to your station. We have matters of mutual interest to discuss." Ta glanced at his second-in-command, who subtly shook his head. Protocol dictated that unauthorized vessels should be escorted away from Confederation borders, not invited aboard their installations. But Ta had studied what little information existed about humans. Their rapid technological advancement was matched only by their aggressive expansion and military development. If the intelligence reports were accurate, refusing their request could be perceived as hostility. "Permission granted," Tai decided. You may send one shuttle with no more than 6 personnel. We will transmit docking procedures. Thank you, Commander. Our shuttle will depart shortly. Defiant out. As the communication ended, Ta's second-in-command approached. Sir, I must express concern about allowing unknown aliens aboard our station. Your concern is noted, Officer June, Ta replied. But I believe this is the safest option. Have security teams ready but not visible. We will show strength through confidence, not aggression. Ta turned to the young science officer who had remained quiet during the exchange. Officer Jin, what do our records tell us about humans? Jin stepped forward, her scales still bright with youth. Very little confirmed information, Commander. They achieved spaceflight approximately 300 years ago and unified their planet just over a century later. Their advancement rate exceeds all predicted models for species development. And militarily, Jin hesitated. Intelligence suggests they fought and won against several species along the rim of the eastern spiral. The reports describe tactics that are unconventional. They appear to value adaptation over overwhelming force. Ta nodded. Prepare the conference room. I want you present during the meeting to observe and analyze their behavior. The command center view screen showed a small shuttle departing from the human warship. Its design was elegant yet practical, with visible engine pods and minimal armaments. Scan the shuttle, Ta ordered. 6 life forms aboard. Sun confirmed. Their biology matches what we know of humans. Detecting standard power signatures, but no active weapons. Ta watched as the shuttle approached the station's docking bay. Alert High Command that first contact with humans is imminent. Request any additional information they can provide immediately. As Ta left the command center to meet the human delegation, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The Makari had been the dominant power in this sector for millennia, their position unchallenged. Yet something about the human ship, about Captain Park's confident tone, suggested they didn't view the Makari with the expected deference. The shuttle completed its docking sequence as Ta arrived at the bay with a small reception team. Security officers positioned themselves discreetly along the walls, weapons holstered but accessible. The airlock cycled, and the door slid open. The humans who stepped through were a surprise. They appeared physically unimpressive compared to the Makari. Shorter, with soft skin instead of protective scales, and seemingly fragile limbs. Yet they moved with surprising grace and confidence. Their eyes, quickly taking in every detail of the docking bay, betrayed an alert intelligence and careful assessment that Ta recognized from his most experienced officers. The leader stepped forward, a human of average height with short black hair and a diplomatic smile that didn't quite reach their watchful eyes. Commander Ta, I presume. I am Ambassador Lee of Earth Diplomatic Corps. Captain Park sends her regards and looks forward to meeting you in person soon. Ta gave the formal Makari greeting, touching his clawed hand to his chest. Welcome to Orbital Station 7, Ambassador Lee. We are curious about your unexpected arrival in Confederation space. Lee's smile widened slightly. I believe, Commander, that after our discussion, neither of us will consider this meeting unexpected at all, but rather inevitable. The conference room aboard Orbital Station 7 featured a long oval table surrounded by the smooth curved chairs preferred by Makari physiology. Ambassador Lee and his small team sat on one side, their human bodies looking slightly uncomfortable in seats designed for taller beings with different spinal structures. Commander Ta noticed how the humans adjusted without complaint, a small but telling sign of their adaptability. We appreciate your willingness to meet with us, Commander, Lee began, placing a small device on the table. With your permission, this will project visuals to support our discussion. Ta nodded. You may proceed, Ambassador. The device hummed softly before projecting a 3-dimensional star map above the table. Several systems glowed with different colors, creating a complex pattern that stretched across what Ta recognized as the border regions between Makari space and the unknown territories beyond. For the past 50 Earth years, we have been mapping these regions, Lee explained, his voice calm and measured. Our exploration vessels have encountered 17 distinct species and established diplomatic relations with 12. Director Juan, who had arrived at the station just minutes before the meeting began, leaned forward with interest. As head of Makari intelligence for this sector, his presence signaled the importance High Command placed on this encounter. 17 species? Juan questioned. Our records indicate only 9 technologically advanced civilizations in those regions. Lee smiled. 8 of those species have specifically avoided Makari detection. They have their reasons. The implied criticism hung in the air. Tai observed the subtle shift in body language among both groups. The humans remained relaxed while his officers tensed slightly. What brings you to our borders, Ambassador? Tai asked directly. Surely not just to share astronomical data. Earth requires passage through this sector of Makari space, Lee replied. We seek permission for our vessels to travel along this corridor. His finger traced a path through the holographic map, cutting directly through 3 key Makari systems. Juan made a sound that humans might mistake for a laugh. You request access to our most strategically important shipping lanes. For what purpose? To reach the Orion Arm, Lee said simply. There are matters there that require our attention. Officer Jin, the young scientist who had been quietly observing, spoke up. The Orion Arm can be reached by a route that bypasses our territory entirely. It would add only 17 days to your journey. Lee turned to her, his expression appreciative. You're well informed. Yes, there are alternative routes. None suit our timetable. What exactly is your hurry, Ambassador? Juan pressed, his scaled fingers tapping impatiently on the table. Instead of answering directly, Lee changed the display. The star map disappeared, replaced by images of a sleek vessel, the Defiant. I believe a gesture of good faith is in order. These are basic specifications of our ship. As you can see, it's primarily designed for deep space exploration and diplomatic missions. Captain Park authorized me to share this information as a demonstration of our peaceful intentions. Tai studied the schematics with a military eye. The displayed specifications showed impressive but not overwhelming capabilities, exactly what one would share when trying to appear cooperative while hiding true potential. We appreciate the information, Ta said carefully. However, our protocols require more detailed inspections before granting passage rights to military vessels. The Defiant is not classified as a military vessel, Lee corrected smoothly. It's a diplomatic escort ship with defensive capabilities. Juan snorted. Those defensive capabilities include quantum phase disruptors if I'm reading these schematics correctly. Technology the Makari Confederation has only theoretical designs for. A flicker of surprise crossed Lee's face before his diplomatic mask returned. Your technical analysis is impressive, Director Juan. We would need to inspect your ship personally, Juan insisted. Confederation security protocols are non-negotiable. Lee's expression hardened slightly. I'm afraid that's impossible. While we're willing to share limited technical data, physical inspection of Earth vessels is prohibited by our own security protocols. The atmosphere in the room changed. The informal exchange had shifted into a contest of wills. Officer Jin spoke again, her voice thoughtful. Ambassador, our records show humans place high value on mutual respect and demonstrations of trust. Perhaps there's a compromise that would satisfy both our protocols. Lee turned to her with genuine interest. What do you propose, officer? Jin, she supplied. Perhaps instead of a physical inspection, you could provide a more comprehensive data package and agree to escort by 2 of our vessels during your transit. Lee considered this, a reasonable suggestion. I would need to consult with Captain Park, but I believe we could accommodate a modified data package. The escort, however, would depend on specific conditions. The negotiation continued for 2 hours, making small progress. Tay observed that the human ambassador was skilled, giving ground on minor points while remaining firm on anything that might reveal true military capabilities. Suddenly, an alert chimed on Ta's communication device. His face remained impassive as he read the message. "If you'll excuse me for a moment, Ambassador. A station matter requires my attention." In the corridor outside, his second-in-command waited with a worried expression. "Sir, 3 cruisers from the home fleet have just arrived. They were dispatched as soon as High Command received your alert about human contact." Tay's scales darkened with concern. "Who authorized combat-ready vessels? We're in the middle of delicate negotiations." "Admiral Sue himself, sir. The cruisers are taking up tactical positions around the human ship." Tay returned to the conference room to find the atmosphere had changed dramatically. Lee stood by the viewport, watching as the 3 Makari warships maneuvered around the Defiant, their weapon ports clearly visible. "It seems," Lee said without turning, "that someone has made a significant miscalculation. This is a standard security procedure," Juan offered smoothly. "Nothing to be concerned about." Lee turned, his diplomatic smile gone. "Director Juan, let me be clear. Those vessels have targeting systems locked on the Defiant. Captain Park is exercising remarkable restraint by not responding in kind. Your ship is outnumbered 3-1, Juan pointed out. "Numbers," Lee said quietly, "have never been a reliable predictor in human conflicts." He gathered his materials with precise movements. "Commander Tay, I believe our negotiations need to be paused while your government decides whether it wants diplomatic relations or a demonstration of capabilities it may find." "Educational." Jin stepped forward. "Ambassador, please. This escalation wasn't part of Commander Tay's intentions. If you leave now—" "That," Lee said, his eyes meeting Ta's directly, "was a mistake. One I hope we all don't come to regret." He signaled his team, who rose as one. "We'll return to our shuttle now. You have 6 hours to withdraw those vessels or provide a channel for direct communication between Captain Park and your highest available authority." As Lee moved toward the door, he paused beside Jin. "You were right about humans valuing mutual respect, Officer Jin. Remember that works in both directions." The door slid closed behind the human delegation, leaving the Makari officers in tense silence. "What have you done?" Ta demanded of Juan. "Established our position of strength," Juan replied confidently. "They'll back down." Officer Jin looked out at the Defiant, a ship that hadn't moved or responded despite being surrounded. "Sir," she said quietly, "I don't think they will." On board the Defiant, Captain Park sat in her command chair, reviewing Ambassador Lee's report with a calm that belied the tension of their situation. 3 Makari warships had taken up tactical positions around her vessel, their weapon systems powered and targeting locks engaged. "Your assessment?" Park asked, looking up at Lee, who stood beside her chair. The station commander, Tay, seemed genuinely surprised by the warship's arrival. "I believe this escalation came from their intelligence director, Juan," Lee replied. "There's also a young science officer named Jin who showed remarkable insight into human psychology. She could be valuable." Park nodded, studying the tactical display. The Makari cruisers had arranged themselves in a classic containment formation, effective against vessels with conventional capabilities. "Communications. Any response from the Makari leadership?" she asked. "Nothing yet, Captain," replied Communications Officer Kang. "It's been 3 hours since Ambassador Lee delivered our ultimatum." Park rose from her chair and walked to the main view screen, hands clasped behind her back. "They're testing us, waiting to see if we'll blink first." "Should we power weapons as a warning?" asked Tactical Officer Moon. "No," Park decided. "Let them think their intimidation is working. For now." On Orbital Station 7, Commander Ta paced the command center, his scales darkened with stress. The communication line to High Command remained frustratingly silent as he awaited instructions. "Any change in the human vessel's status?" he asked. Officer Sun checked her sensors. "No, sir. They remain powered down except for life support and minimal communications. No weapon signatures detected." Director Juan entered the command center with a satisfied expression. "See, they understand the language of strength. Their ship is helpless." Officer Jin, who had been analyzing the limited data on human behavior patterns, looked up from her console. "Sir, I don't believe they're helpless. The energy readings from their ship are too low for a vessel of that size, even in standby mode." "Meaning?" Tai asked. "They're either conserving power or—" Jin hesitated. "Or what?" Huan demanded. "Or hiding their true capabilities," she finished. Huan dismissed her concern with a wave. "High Command has authorized me to board and inspect their vessel if they don't withdraw their passage request within the next hour." Tai's eyes widened. "That would be a direct violation of diplomatic protocol." "They're in our space," Huan countered. "Our protocols apply." The tension was interrupted by Officer Yun at communications. "Commander, the human ship is hailing us." "On screen," Tai ordered. Captain Park's face appeared on the main display. Her expression was composed, her dark eyes revealing nothing. "Commander Tai, I understand your government has not yet responded to our request for communication with your leadership." Ta stepped forward. "Captain Park, I apologize for the delay. These matters require—" "I'm not interested in excuses, Commander," Park interrupted gently. "I'm interested in resolving this situation peacefully. Is Director Huan present?" Huan moved into view. "I am here, Captain. Have you reconsidered your position?" A subtle smile touched Park's lips. "I have, Director. I've decided to provide the demonstration you seem to require. Please observe carefully." The view screen returned to showing the Defiant, which remained dark and seemingly inactive. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then everything changed. Hidden ports along the Defiant's hull slid open, revealing weapon systems far more advanced than those displayed in the specifications Lee had shared. The ship's energy signature suddenly spiked, overwhelming the station's sensor arrays momentarily. "What's happening?" Ta demanded. "Sir," Sun called out, her voice tight with alarm. "Our sensors are finally penetrating their stealth systems. The ship, it's not what we thought. The mass readings are nearly triple our initial scan." On the tactical display, the true form of the Defiant emerged as sensor data updated. What had appeared to be a mid-sized diplomatic vessel revealed itself as an advanced warship with capabilities that made the surrounding McCurry cruisers look primitive by comparison. "Impossible," Huan whispered. "They can't have hidden so much from our scans." Jin studied the readings with fascinated horror. Quantum field manipulation. They'd been bending sensor data around their hull, showing us only what they wanted us to see. The communication channel reopened. Captain Park stood on her bridge, now brightly lit to reveal a command center far more advanced than anything the McCurry had developed. "Director Huan, your vessels have targeting locks on my ship. This is typically considered an act of war among civilized species." Huan found his voice. "You deceived us about your capabilities. We shared limited information appropriate to initial diplomatic contact," Park corrected. "You responded with military aggression. Now I'm responding with clarity." She nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, alarm signals blared throughout the McCurry command center. "Our weapons," cried tactical officermen. "All 3 cruisers report weapons systems failure. Targeting computers offline. Power to main cannons cut." "How?" Ta demanded. "Precision energy pulses," Jin explained, reading the incoming data. "They disabled the specific systems without causing structural damage or casualties." Park's voice remained calm. "Commander Ta, I could have destroyed your vessels with minimal effort. Instead, I chose restraint. Your ships are unharmed. Your crews are safe. Only your offensive capabilities have been neutralized." The command center fell silent as the McCurry officers absorbed this demonstration of overwhelming technological superiority. "Now," Park continued, "shall we resume our discussion about passage rights? Perhaps with someone authorized to make decisions." Before Tai could respond, a new signal came through on a priority channel. The Grand Admiral of the McCurry fleet appeared on a secondary screen, his aged scales pale with concern. "Commander Tai, we've received the data. Stand down immediately. Director Juan, you are relieved of authority in this matter. The Admiral turned his attention to the main screen. Captain Park, this is Grand Admiral Han. I apologize for this misunderstanding. I am prepared to discuss your request personally. Park nodded respectfully. Thank you, Admiral. I appreciate your intervention. As the communication shifted to a private channel between Park and the Admiral, Tai turned to Jin. You warned us, and we didn't listen. Jin was still studying the sensor readings from the human ship. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database, and they revealed only a fraction of their capabilities. I'm certain of it. How can you know that? Juan demanded, his earlier confidence shattered. Because, Jin said softly, they disabled 3 warships simultaneously without fully powering their weapons. That requires precision and control far beyond what they demonstrated. They weren't showing us their strength, Director. They were showing us their restraint. In the command center of the Defiant, Captain Park concluded her conversation with the Makari Admiral. First Officer Choi, power down tactical systems, but maintain defensive shields. Yes, Captain. The Makari are hailing again. It's the science officer from the station. Park raised an eyebrow. Put her through. Officer Jin's face appeared on the screen, her expression a mixture of scientific curiosity and concern. Captain Park, I've been assigned as liaison for your passage through our territory. A wise choice, Park replied. I look forward to working with you, Officer Jin. May I ask one question? Jin requested. Our analysis suggests your technology is at least a century beyond our current understanding, yet humans have been spacefaring for less than half the time of the Makari. How is this possible? Park studied the young officer thoughtfully. Necessity, Officer Jin. Humans developed in a harsh environment where adaptation wasn't just beneficial, it was essential for survival. She paused. Perhaps during our journey, you'll learn more about why we needed to advance so quickly. Jin nodded slowly. I suspect it has something to do with where you're going in such a hurry. Perceptive, Park acknowledged. Very perceptive indeed. 3 days after the tense standoff, Officer Jin found herself aboard the Defiant, working alongside the human crew as they prepared for passage through Makari space. Grand Admiral Han had personally approved their route, and relations had improved significantly since Captain Park's demonstration of power and restraint. Jin stood on the observation deck beside Captain Park, watching as Station 7 rotated slowly against the backdrop of stars. Human and Makari technicians worked together to integrate communication protocols between their systems. You've been studying us, Park said, breaking the comfortable silence. Have you formed any conclusions yet? Jin turned to face the human captain. Many questions, few conclusions. Your technology exceeds logical development patterns. Your species approaches problems differently than ours. Park smiled. Different environments breed different solutions. The Makari evolved in a stable system with few natural predators. Humans, she paused. We weren't so fortunate. Before Jin could ask for clarification, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Park's relaxed demeanor vanished instantly as she tapped her communication device. Bridge, report. Captain, long-range sensors have detected multiple objects dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system, came the urgent reply. Signature patterns don't match any known Makari vessels. Park was already moving, Jin hurrying to keep pace as they headed for the bridge. Alert Station 7. Put all systems on standby and prepare for potential hostile contact. The Defiance bridge hummed with controlled urgency as officers moved with practiced efficiency. The main view screen displayed a tactical map showing multiple red dots appearing at the system's outer boundary. 27 objects detected, reported Sensor Officer Ryu. Correction, 32, 41. Still increasing. Jin felt a chill run through her body. This isn't possible. Our border sensors would have detected any approaching fleet. Park glanced at her. Unless they didn't use conventional space to approach. The implication struck Jin like a physical blow. The Void Collective. but our intelligence indicated they were still a year from reaching this sector. Your intelligence was wrong, Park said grimly, studying the tactical display. Communications, alert Station 7. Tactical, bring all defense systems online. On the screen, the number of incoming vessels continued to grow. Over 60 ships now, arranged in an attack formation. Jin had only seen in historical records of the Void Collective's previous incursions into neighboring systems. They're using subspace corridors, Jin realized, bypassing our early warning network entirely. Park nodded. A common tactic. They did the same in the Arcturus system before attacking Earth territory. Jin's head snapped up. You've fought them before. 3 times in the past decade, Park confirmed. Each encounter more aggressive than the last. The communication officer interrupted. Captain, we have Commander Ta from Station 7. Tay's face appeared on screen, his scales pale with stress. Captain Park, our sensors have just detected multiple unknown vessels entering the system. The Void Collective, Park stated. You need to activate all defensive systems immediately and evacuate non-essential personnel. Tay's eyes widened. The Collective isn't due to reach our territory for. They're here now. Park cut him off. You have minutes, not hours. The first wave will target your communication arrays and defense systems. As if confirming her words, the tactical display showed the leading edge of the Void Fleet accelerating toward the station. Captain, First Officer Choi spoke up. Makari protocols require us to withdraw to neutral space during conflicts not involving Earth forces. Park's expression hardened. Note the protocol violation in the log, then bring all weapons online and plot an intercept course. Captain, Choi questioned. If the Void Collective takes this station, they gain a foothold in Makari space that will cost thousands of lives to dislodge. Park explained. We stand a better chance stopping them here. On Station 7, chaos erupted as the first Void Collective vessels came within visual range. Their ships were unlike anything in Makari records. Black, asymmetrical constructs that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Biomechanical components pulsed along their hulls, giving them an unsettling, almost living appearance. All personnel to emergency stations, Tad ordered. Power all defense systems and contact the home fleet. The station's shields flared to life just as the first Void vessels opened fire. Dark energy beams struck the protective barrier, causing it to flicker dangerously. Shields at 70% after single impact, reported Officer Min. Unknown energy type, cutting through our defenses faster than projected. A second volley struck before the station's weapons could respond. This time, several beams penetrated the weakened shields, tearing through the station's outer ring. Explosions rippled along the structure as atmosphere vented into space. Casualties reported in sections 15 through 20. Officer Yoon called out, her voice tight with emotion. 37 confirmed dead, dozens injured. Todd watched in horror as the outer ring, home to nearly a third of the station's population, began breaking apart under the assault. Their most powerful weapons barely scratched the Void vessel's hulls. Sir, Sun called out. The human ship, it's moving to intercept the collective fleet. On the tactical display, the Defiant accelerated toward the attacking forces, its previously revealed weapons now fully powered. But even after their demonstration days earlier, nothing prepared the Makari for what happened next. The Defiant's hull reconfigured before their eyes. Previously hidden weapon arrays emerging from concealed ports. Energy readings spiked to levels that temporarily blinded the station's sensors. The human vessel fired, not the precision-disabling shots they had used against the Makari cruisers, but devastating beams that cut through the lid Void ships like they were made of paper. 3 enemy vessels exploded in rapid succession, their debris scattering across space. The Void Collective, facing unexpected resistance, adjusted their formation. 15 ships broke off from the main fleet to concentrate fire on the Defiant. They can't survive that many attackers, Ta said, watching the uneven battle unfold. Sir, Jin replied, having returned to the station minutes earlier. I think we're about to see why humans advanced so quickly. The Defiant executed a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible for a vessel its size, evading the majority of incoming fire while maintaining its own attack patterns. When hits did land, they splashed harmlessly against shields far stronger than anything the Makari had developed. "Commander," Jin said urgently, "Captain Park needs our help. If we coordinate our remaining weapons with their attack pattern, we can create a crossfire." Ta hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Tactical. Link our targeting systems with the Defiant and follow Officer Jin's instructions." Jin quickly established a communication link with the human ship. On the small screen beside her, she could see the Defiant's bridge, remarkably calm despite the battle raging around them. "Officer Jin," Park acknowledged, "ready to coordinate." Jin nodded, feeling a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. "Ready, Captain. Following your lead." Together, the damaged station and the human warship began to push back against the Void Collective's assault, an unlikely alliance born of necessity and forged in fire. The battle had raged for 7 hours. Debris from destroyed Void Collective vessels drifted through space, creating an artificial asteroid field around Station 7. The Defiant hung in space, its once pristine hull now scarred by multiple impacts. Emergency repair crews in spacesuits worked on the most critical damage, while the ship maintained defensive position between the station and the retreating enemy forces. Inside Station 7's command center, Commander Tai surveyed the damage reports with grim determination. Nearly a third of the station had been destroyed or rendered uninhabitable. Medical facilities were overwhelmed with injured personnel. "The last Void ships have left sensor range," Officer Sun reported, her voice hoarse from hours of continuous updates. "They appear to be regrouping at the edge of the system." "They'll be back," Ta said quietly, "and in greater numbers." The door to the command center slid open. Captain Park entered, followed by Officer Jin. The human captain moved with a slight limp, a hastily bandaged wound visible on her arm. During the battle, she had personally led a team to board the station when Void forces had breached the outer defenses. "Commander," Park nodded in greeting. "I've received word that the Makari High Command fleet will arrive within 12 hours. Tai acknowledged the information with a nod. "We've managed to restore basic communication with the homeworld. The Grand Admiral himself is leading the response force." An uncomfortable silence fell between them. The unasked question hung in the air. Why had humans known about the Void Collective's plans when the Makari, with their vast intelligence network, had been caught completely unprepared? Officer Jin broke the tension. "Captain Park's engineers have offered to help repair our primary shield generator. With their assistance, we could have basic defenses operational before the Collective returns." "Accepted with gratitude," Tai replied. "Officer Jin, please coordinate with them." As Jin left to organize the repair efforts, Ta gestured for Park to join him in the small conference room adjacent to the command center. Once the door closed behind them, he spoke frankly. "You knew they were coming. Not just eventually. You knew they would attack now, here." Park didn't deny it. "We've been tracking Void Collective movements for years. Their attack pattern is consistent. This station was the logical next target. Yet you requested passage through our territory days before the attack," Tai observed. "Your timing was not coincidental." Park smiled slightly. "No, it wasn't. We hoped to move through quickly enough to warn you properly through official channels." Director Juan's enthusiasm. Complicated matters. Tai's scales darkened with emotion. "Hundreds of my people are dead. If you had shared this intelligence immediately, would you have believed us?" Park interrupted gently. "When Ambassador Lee arrived, your people treated us with suspicion bordering on hostility. Claims about an imminent Void Collective attack would have been dismissed as manipulation." Ta couldn't argue with her assessment. Even with evidence, many in the Makari leadership remained skeptical of human motives. "Why did you stay and fight?" he asked finally. "Your protocols, as your officer mentioned, would have justified withdrawal." Park's expression grew serious. "The Void Collective isn't just your enemy. Commander. They've attacked human colonies too. We've lost thousands to their raids. She activated a small device, projecting a galactic map onto the conference room table. Red markers indicated void collective territory and attack patterns. They're expanding in all directions, consuming resources and occasionally entire populations. This isn't a border dispute or a territorial grab, it's systematic conquest. Tai studied the map, noting how the red zones had grown in recent years. Our intelligence suggested they were still focused on the Cygnus arm. They were, Park confirmed, until they encountered human resistance there 6 months ago. Now they're probing for weaker targets. The implication was clear and stinging to Mikari pride. The collective had shifted focus to what they perceived as less dangerous territory. The door opened again as Officer Jin returned, accompanied by a distinguished group of Mikari officials. The Grand Admiral had arrived ahead of schedule, accompanied by members of the High Command. Grand Admiral Han entered first, his ancient scales bearing the marks of past battles. He surveyed the room with sharp eyes before focusing on Captain Park. "Captain," he said formally, "the Mikari Confederation owes you and your crew a debt. Your intervention saved thousands of lives today." Park bowed slightly in acknowledgement. "Admiral Han, we acted as any ally would." "Ally?" The Admiral raised an eye-ridge. An interesting choice of words for a first contact situation. "Perhaps potential ally would be more accurate," Park conceded. "Those circumstances have accelerated our relationship somewhat." Admiral Han gestured to the map still displayed on the table. "Your intelligence about the Void Collective's movements appears to be superior to ours." "Why?" "Necessity," Park replied. "Earth's colonies lie directly in their expansion path. We've dedicated significant resources to understanding and countering their technology." The Admiral studied her for a long moment. "And your passage request? What lies in the Orion arm that requires such urgency?" Park exchanged a glance with Todd before answering. "Not what, Admiral. Who? Earth has spent the past 20 years building a coalition of species beyond your borders, preparing for full-scale war with the Collective. We were en route to meet with the Arcturian Council when we detected void movements toward this station. The revelation sent a ripple of surprise through the assembled Mikari officials. The Arcturians were known to the Confederation only through ancient records, a secretive but powerful species that had withdrawn from galactic affairs centuries ago. You formed an alliance with the Arcturians?" Admiral Han asked incredulously. "And 11 other species," Park confirmed, "all threatened by void expansion, all contributing resources and technology to the defense effort." She adjusted the projection, showing blue markers representing coalition forces gathering along the edges of void territory. "The attack on this station wasn't random. It's part of a larger offensive. Our intelligence indicates the Collective is planning simultaneous strikes against multiple targets in this sector within the next 30 days. Silence fell as the Mikari digested this information. Centuries of believing themselves the dominant power in their region had not prepared them for threats of this magnitude. Admiral Han was the first to recover. "What do you propose, Captain Park?" "A formal alliance," Park replied without hesitation. "Your territory forms a critical defensive line. Your technology, while different from ours, offers capabilities the Coalition needs. In return, we offer advanced weapons technology and the protection of a united front." 1 month later, Officer Jin stood on the bridge of the Defiant, now repaired and enhanced with Mikari crystalline technology. Through the view screen, she could see dozens of ships gathered near the former location of Station 7. A new, larger structure was under construction, not just a border outpost, but a forward command center for the newly formed alliance. Mikari warships flew alongside human vessels, their crews training together in preparation for the coming conflict. Engineers from both species worked to integrate their technologies, creating defensive systems stronger than either could have developed alone. "It's impressive how quickly your people adapted," Jin remarked to Captain Park, who stood beside her. "Adaptation is our specialty," Park replied. The Void Collective believes conquest is inevitable because they've never encountered meaningful resistance. That changes now. Commander Todd joined them, his uniform now bearing the insignia of the Joint Fleet. The first squadron of human reinforcements has entered the system. Admiral Han requests your presence at the strategy briefing. As they turned to leave, a junior officer announced, multiple ships detected entering the system. Configuration matches Earth Defense Fleet. The view screen shifted to show a dozen human warships emerging from faster-than-light travel, their advanced designs similar to the Defiant but larger, more imposing. Red alert. Human warships are approaching fast. Tai announced to his Mikari officers, a new respect evident in his voice. He turned to Park with the slightest hint of a smile. And thankfully, they're on our side.